The skies of Oldham weep with the remnants of an old god, as we welcome you to the first day of the LevelMania challenge. I am your host, Camixs, and if you're unaware of the show and the going-ons at the competition, feel free to take a look down in the description or up in the top right where there will be a card or link to send you to the LevelMania challenge rules. But if you're already familiar with what's going on, then welcome aboard the respective of The Shock. A couple of things that we wish to talk about before the official competition begins. We're going to have a sub-series off of this one that we'll call the Triple Tier Talk, where we go into over 3 competitors' runs, each of them getting 3 minutes or less to be mentioned about. So if that's something you'd be interested in, feel free to take a look over the next day after this video is released in order to get a more insider's perspective of the going-ons of LevelMania. This show will run in between episodes and will likely have 4 different videos going over each competitor's current updates as well as successes and failures, something you may not want to miss for your future favorite characters. Secondly, we couldn't go without putting a potential prediction on the competitors' movements into this challenge, and as a result, we've taken to doing a basic prediction and put up how many levels the average competitor will do. In our honest, brutal opinion, 3 levels seems reasonable, and if anyone were to follow it, the challenge for some would be complete in less than a month, 20 days to be exact. But we can only speculate and hope that we're right about such a push. Finally, we'll normally have small bits of information about the characters coming into the series, things that you may wish to know that we didn't cover in the Triple Tier Talks. But since it is the first day, we unfortunately have nothing to report here on the initial stages of the LevelMania challenge. But with that being said, the predictions are down, the competitors are ready, and the first day is dawning. So in the words of one of the most influential Black Dragons on Azeroth,
let the games begin.
And the competitors are already setting up to line up for the first go, and Groltall and Grulstak already getting themselves knocked out. Their very first debut, unfortunately, ends here. So sorry for those two. It's gonna definitely hurt our predictions a little bit, but we still have 8 people to take a look at here. This split screen idea, I kind of like it, but at the same time, you know, it's a lot of things going on at once. I hope that, you know, maybe it'll be a little less busy. Maybe they thought that a lot of people would get knocked out here in the very beginning, but instead we have 8 screens to watch here. We're gonna try to see if we can get some updates here and there to make sure that everybody's in on the actual action that's going on itself. But as it stands, we have a few people moving around in areas that, you know, it's very busy. The screens are very busy, and it's almost kind of like a little bit disorienting, honestly, to watch all of this unfold before us. But you can tell that there's a few things going on. For instance, up there in the top right, you have Longhail just seemingly pulling everything at once, using that dot Shadow Priest kind of deal that a lot of people would probably use at the lower levels. Dot classes are going to be extremely powerful here in the beginning, mostly because all they have to do is press the dot button and then leave it alone, get out of there. Whereas the other classes, yes, they may get their one-shots and the opportunities, they're not going to be as powerful here in the beginning. You can already see Malborn's also abusing that little bit of power there. Vano also having a Moonfire spell is going to help him as well. It's going to be all sorts of different kind of challenges and perspectives for some of these characters. The classes and the styles that they play are going to make a big impact here. And really, when you take a look at it and you see all of the movements that are being had, you're gonna start to question who can really get themselves into that next perspective. It's really going to be one of those challenges where, all right, you're gonna have to level as quick as possible, and you're gonna have to also hope that you're super lucky. Right now, it seems like Inara getting a level, Vano gets a level, Malborn gets a level, and it looks like Malborn will be the next one to go out. How unfortunate for him. 7 challengers still remaining here. A few of them still trying to get to level 4. Marienda managed to get a level out of there, and she's safe for right now. We have a couple more. Longhail getting close. We have Mylang seemingly getting close. Kazax is all of a sudden jumping up there. Probably a few experience points that he gains, but Longhail is out. Unfortunate for him. His lifeless body will be missed. But it'll make a great steak, though, later on whenever we have it gathered around a fire. 6 people are remaining now. We have 6 on the top, 6 on the bottom, and I can see why they did this kind of idea. You know, you have a little bit more introspectives, and it looks like Kazax rolls, and he is out as well. Unfortunate for him. So sorry that he's only able to get 1 level. We have a few people who have fallen like that. Malborn, Longhail, and now Kazax all going out after only one level, so that's going to definitely put a damper in on our effect on how we're going to take a look at our averages. My Lang now also going out, hitting at level 4. That's going to be unfortunate for her too. She really probably needed to push up a little bit more, because if you notice, a lot of the neutral class, from what we understand about the Pandaren, they're not able to use the show 4 mount like everybody else is, like Marienda and Inara and Stalwrath, for instance, have been using their mounts as, you know, the championship has gone along, but it seems like to her, she's not been able to use it, and that's mostly because the show 4 is actually based off of your faction. So there isn't much to say about that in particular, but it seems like we're down to the 4 now. Few of them having different options here. Marienda's level 4, Stalwrath level 4, Inara level 4, and I think Vano is actually pushed up to level 5. He's pretty close, we can't actually see his level. That's the thing, is that his competition skills and everything has managed to, you know, put us into a little bit of a different perspective here, but right now it seems like he's in the lead of the 3 that are on here. Part of that, again, being the dots perspective here. If you notice, the other 2 dot individuals, Malborn and Longhill, both are gone, so it's now just him being left in order to do the dots by himself. And if you don't know what dots is, it's basically damage over time abilities. So like things like Moonfire, for instance, for him, damages over time. And when you're at a lower level like this, it is pretty powerful. Something that a lot of people wouldn't realize is that essentially a dot can really make the difference in these lower levels anyway, and get you as quick as possible. Like you can see the example right now. Look at all the just power dots that he's pushing through on every single one of these Worgen. Of course, he has a little bit of a buff here. The quest that he has in particular is actually giving him a little bit more of a speed boost, and therefore it's actually helping him push forward, whereas the others are, you know, they don't have buffs, they don't have anything special, they're not really pushing in on a lot, and it's a lot more spread out. His quests are a little bit more condensed because that's the way his whole thing is set up, which is an interesting thing to have, because essentially now you're going to be able to lead the pack, at least for a little bit. Now, the problem with this is we've talked about this in the previous challenge, which is basically called the Shock's Allure. And basically that idea is if you're leading, you get to keep your lead, but if you fall down to below 2nd place, you're out. And you know that basically means that your character is deleted, you start over again, and that's the unfortunate side effect of this potential issue of, you know, pushing the pack, being forward, being the front runner. So the question for him, and it looks like Marienda is unfortunately now getting out. She only hits level 5. She at least jumps above most of the others, so she does right now, it seems, have 4th place. Stalwrath, of course, still is questionable on his push right now. He is only level 4, still hasn't gotten himself to level 5 yet. We're now Inara number 5, and Vano almost level 6. Sorry, drinking water here. But you have to take a look here and just see the fact that the Shock's Allure can be especially dangerous for Vano in this early on of a stage. If you take an honest perspective here, right? If you lose so early on, right, you have to start all the way back at level 3. And that means that for him, all the progress he's making today will be lost. It won't be anything. It won't matter. He will lose it out in the beginning. Looks like Stalwrath getting level 5 here is able to keep moving on. I believe it's because of his bonus roll that he had earlier. But going back to it, yes, here we go, Vano's level 6, still able to move on because, again, bonus roll that he had earlier is safe. We had a few Fortress rolls here at the beginning, and we were expecting that too. Like, Fortress rolls were going to be abundant in each of the individuals' opportunities to move forward, mostly on account of the fact that their rolls are essentially, you know, they had a pretty high chance to get him here at the lower levels. Like, the higher your levels are, the less likely you are to get continuous Fortress rolls, but in this case it works. But going back to Vano, we kind of are looking at this perspective of the fact that if he takes the lead this early on, how dangerous is it to do so? Because essentially with him, if he takes the Shock's Allure, he pushes with it, and then he gets past, he has to start all the way back at the beginning, and you know that's not something that you really want to do early on, because when people are starting to push out and such, they're making their mark, they're moving their territory, you want to be moving right along with them, or you want to be at least kind of maybe on top, but not necessarily the first place. Stalwrath going ahead and getting himself moved out to start working on completing the area that he's in. A few of them You should also notice here that Vano has gotten pretty close to finishing up the zone. He's actually only, I think, like 4 or 5 quests away from actually getting everything done here, whereas the other two on top, they still have probably about 5 or 6 quests. Well, not 5 or 6 quests, it's more like 6 to 10, I would say, that they have a little bit more to work with here. Essentially, they're a little bit behind because of the fact that, you know, Vano's able to use those dots, he's able to push through in that kind of regard, but the other two are not. They're not able to just simply jump the shark like he is. But it is definitely helping him move forward. Again, I would just be concerned that if you're going to do this, you be aware that you have the potential to take the lead, and that means that you had the potential for the Shock's Allure to be standing on you the whole time. So this is something you have to be aware of. This is something you have to be conscious of, especially when you're moving through the whole section like this. It is an extremely dangerous game to play early on. Now, later on, the way I see it, whenever you're holding the lead like that, I have 2 real options that I would say would be safe to do it. First off, if you're so far ahead in the lead that it doesn't matter, like for instance, if you're like level 17, right, and the next competitor is level 9, it's very unlikely that somebody's just going to push forward and take that lead from you in the beginning. It's just not something that will likely happen. The fortress rolls would probably not be in the favor to do that. But the other idea is that if you're like sitting at level 55, level 56, then at that point it doesn't matter. You're really close. You may as well go ahead and say go for it, and if you drop out of that point, then oh well, you've lost the challenge at that point. But you at least had a chance to really move forwards. Right now, I wouldn't say it is the wisest time to do it unless you get one of the biggest level jumps that you can. And right now, it's looking in perspective of such a thing. Like, you know, Vano's level 6, he's almost level 7 now. He's getting closer. He's moving in the definitely the right direction. For him, it's going to work out if he's able to push a lot of levels, but that's the thing, he needs to push. If he's going to do this, he's got to push real hard, and he's got to push right now in the beginning. It's going to be everything on the table, move forward, balls to the wall. You can't have other people following behind you, and right now, we still have 2 people on the board right now, Stalwrath and Inara, both level 5, not very far behind. They only have like 1 level that they're really having to catch up with at the moment, although it looks like Vano might level here soon. He might get 2 levels, but with that, Inara's also getting close to level 6, Stalwrath also getting close to level 6, so both of them are not, you know, relenting necessarily in that level department. They're not giving up too much in a gap here, and it looks like Vano's about to go ahead and finish up the starting zone here. Stalwrath and Inara working on getting themselves pushed in towards the end. Not quite there yet either. Neither one of them. I know you have a big boss you usually complete at the end, but they haven't quite gotten there yet. Inara does get level 6 right now and is safe to keep moving forwards, and it looks like Stalwrath is about to get himself level 6 as well and keep moving forwards too. These two, on the other hand, Stalwrath and Inara, definitely keeping up with one another. It's not like it's very far away like Vano, where he has managed to push out an entire level before them. Which, by the way, Vano's completed the starting zone, so congratulations to him. But these two are still able to keep up. They're still able to move on and really, you know, keep a position on who's second. And in my opinion, if you're second place, you're fine. There's no danger in losing second place, right? So if you fall off that wagon, you still get to keep your character. If you're first place like Vano, you have a chance to risk things. But right now, as long as you can keep your positions, I really think that that's the best way to do it. You know, you stay behind, you keep yourself behind, you stay out of the way of the leader, at least for a little while, and then when you see an opportunity, you jump past. That's the way I've seen the manipulation of this challenge going. For a lot of people, this would probably be the best way to do it, but who knows what the actual terms and conditions will be for that kind of repercussion or that kind of strategy moving forward. I think that would be best if you're going to level in this challenge. You've got a few other things wrapping up here. It looks like that Stalwrath is getting himself the final section here, so that's, you know, Grignardic Hold, Wayfire Elemental for the this section is essentially the finish up, the final big boss for this section of the map. And you know, we with Inara over here as well, she's about to go ahead and face off the Magistrix, which is the big boss in her zone. So they're about to both finish this the starting zones for them. Meanwhile, you've got Vano over here. He's already pretty well pushed forward and is actually about to get level 8 as well. But of course, again, with him getting level 8, you also notice that Inara and Stalwrath are both hitting close to level 7. You know, Anara's a little bit closer. In fact, she gets it right now. Stalwrath is probably going to need to do a couple more things before he can get up there. Really, right now, Stalwrath is kind of lagging behind the other two. It's not to say he's completely behind. He's not out of the race yet, but he definitely has a little bit more going against him. I think part of it is the fact that his environment and the way everything's set up in the Dwarven area is just so spread out. He's got 4 other things he's dealing with here. He's got the Anvilmar section. He's got this camp right here. He's got the he's got to go, and he's basically having to go back and forth between those 2 zones. Whereas as an area like Anara, her area is kind of more condensed in the zones, and Vano's was even more so. His was basically, it's all plumped into one zone. So, you know, along with the fact that the environment's not helping Stalwrath, it's really giving him a kind of a little bit behind, like a lag off. Not as much, again, as, you know, Anara. You know, they still are kind of still sitting on one another. In fact, you look at the bars right now, they're exactly the same. They're having to both basically go rush over and get a quest done, and Stalwrath, I think, was going to temporarily take a small lead here, but he's not going to take a big one. In fact, he's probably going to fall behind again here. As you can see, she's about to turn in a quest and jump ahead and be closer to level 8 than he is. Meanwhile, Vano over here, guaranteed level 8 right now. He's still able to keep moving, and again, right now the dot game for him is still going to be very strong. The dots are gonna keep coming in. He's gonna be able to use them to manipulate the battlefield to his favor, and there's nothing they can really do about that, at least until later levels where things aren't as hectic and unbalanced. The reality is the dot classes at a lower level are the most powerful ones to have. A warlock, a priest, a druid like this. There are probably a couple of other ones, but those are the big ones that are going to be able to keep moving. I don't care how many things Stalwrath can one-shot. If he's only doing it one at a time, it's going to be slower than Vano, who is dotting 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 things, and is still able to kill them all simultaneously in a matter of a few seconds, because it's too powerful in comparison. That's part of the reason, again, Vano is just, he's moving forward. He really has got a lot going for him in this package, and you know, there's nothing to really say about it. He's got a full level on Anara right now, and she's probably the closest one at this moment to keep up with him. That being noted, she's about to go ahead and get a quest here. She's about to get level 8 soon, and Vano's about to get level 9. So again, the levels have not been in favor of the other 2 competitors so much as Vano's just able to, again, kind of move in the area where it was kind of condensed. Now things are starting to spread out for him a little bit more, which may help the other 2 competitors, but it should be noted that this is no longer the starting zones for any of them. Like, they're all moving out now, so it may not be helpful for either one. It may just be, you know, he has to go out and spread out, but so do they, and nothing else is going to really be able to happen in that regard. We'll see what ends up happening for Vano. We'll see what ends up happening for Stalwrath and Anara as they manage to keep pushing. And for all we know, Vano could end his run here. Like, he could no longer get any more rolls, and you know, the devastation roll hits and he's out. We don't actually know. That's the interesting thing about the shop rolls, is that he could be in the lead right now, but later on he loses it because, you know, he's not able to keep up. He's not able to level again. He has to stop because he dies, and we don't know that yet. We currently have. They're currently all lucky. Like, they're all able to move forward. They're all able to have that luck to keep pressing, and you know, that's not something for the other competitors. They haven't been able to do that. You know, most of them dropped off at level 4. In fact, if you looked at the notes, which we'll have at the end for everybody to take a look at, we had 2 drop off right at level 3 right away, and then we had 4 drop off at level 4. We had 1 drop off at level 5, and now we have these 3 moving forward, at least guaranteeing that they will be 3 apart from the level 5. So that's going to be an interesting thing to take a look at. Like, Marienda was the 4th place person, level 5. Now you have these other 3 who are going to be kind of outliers in the reality, and we may actually get our averages after all, because I mean, if you think about it, that kind of movement for these 3 is going to basically kind of skew the results a little bit. So it's going to be one of those things that you have to kind of, you know, if we get the averages at the end and it's at 3 or above 3, you're just going to have to kind of look at it and go, well, there was an outlier, so, you know, it's not fair. But, sorry, still getting another base of water. We're still taking a look over these three. Vano and Inara are awfully getting close to their next levels here. Stalrath still quite a bit behind here. Inara now about to get a level, I think. Yes, she does. And is she able to keep moving? She is not. She is out. That's unfortunate for her. So sorry about that. She was actually keeping up very well. She was second place for a while. She still technically is. Between the two of them, Stalrath and Vano, she is in the middle. She's in the smack middle of them. Stalrath, of course, is guaranteed a level right now, so she may end up being tied with him. We don't actually know how that's going to go, how that's going to unfold, but we do know for a fact that right now she has the second place mantle, and, you know, that's not a bad place to be. As mentioned, if you're second place, it's better than nothing. It really is. It means that you've got an opportunity to move forward. You're not too far behind. It's a very comfortable spot. You don't have to worry about the Shock Allure. It's a safe place to be. And I think that for her, in that position, it's going to be good. You know, you're not going to have to worry about too much. And if you have a couple of days where you're not able to level, then so be it. It's not as bad as somebody who's level 3 and then doesn't have a couple of days to level. Meanwhile, Vano will go ahead and get level 9. He's actually almost 9.5. With all those quests, it's just pushing him up a lot. It's getting in his favor, and right now, you know, it's not slowing down either. Vano still has the upper hand here. He's not losing that edge that he had at the beginning, because again, the dots are still powerful, and he still has a lot more condensing than Stalrath does, whereas Stalrath's stuff is just all over the place. Like right now, he's in the middle of Ironforge. He's having to go back to Keranos here shortly. It looks like he's actually doing that right now, so good on him to actually get that done. Vano doesn't have any of that. He goes over. There's a small farm over there. He's like, okay, I'm done. Then he moves over here to this section. I think with the Worgen quest line, it's you know, you have to go get some horses, kill some sailors, and, you know, get a cat, and all of that's within 100 yards of each other. It's not a very far movement from one zone to the next. Meanwhile, Stalrath is like, okay, go kill some trolls here. You gotta go kill some boars all the way over here, and you gotta get all that done in different zones. Like, there's different parts of it. So really, right now, what I'm basically been saying is that, you know, he has no advantage here. I think for him, you know, especially if he's not able to keep moving, he's gonna find himself a little bit behind. But at the same time, again, this isn't a bad thing. At least in the beginning, the Shock's Allure is something that you have to be extremely aware of, and he's able to roll out one more, so he gets to keep going. He gets to go to level 9, so Stalrath will be guaranteed level 7. Stalrath will be guaranteed his next run, which is good for him. Again, second place is not bad, and if he stops at second place, that'll be great. It'll just also kind of depend on how Vano's run ends up being. Like, if he gets too far out, there might be a little bit of an issue there as well. I don't know. To me, the way I see it is, as long as Stalrath stays behind, he can keep leveling all he wants. He'll be fine. He'll be safe. But if he decides that he wants to keep pushing in past Vano, it might be one of those things that becomes difficult. We don't know how that will all turn out, because both of them are still leveling and both of them are still moving forward. So it could end up being that, you know, Vano dies out at level 10 and then that's it. Or it could be Stalrath dies out at level 9. They could both end up dying here soon. We don't actually know what the repercussions is. We are currently still sitting here watching this go down at this moment, and, you know, it could be a whole different ball game by the end of this. For all I know, Stalrath could end up at level 16. We don't actually have the final say-sos on this just yet, but we'll see here soon. And for that note, Vano's about to hit level 10. Stalrath, he's only started at level 8, so that's gotta be a little bit of a tight spot for him as well. It's really not working in his favor right now. Let's see if Vano is able to get that level 10, and he does right here. Well, he's got to stop for a second to see if he can get his rollout. Yeah, he dropped the horse, and yes, he seems to get a 7 out of the 10. So he's still safe. He still gets another mundane roll, which helps him out. He's able to set forward and move on that account, which is good for him. You know, like I said, if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna push the lead, you want to do that as quick as possible. It's not gonna, you don't want it to, well, not as quick as possible. I want to say you want to get as big of a lead as possible as you can. You know, you push forward and you keep going until you really can't anymore. And that's kind of what Vano's doing right now. He's just continually moving forward. Seems like he's actually going to pick a spec right now. He's picking balance, which again, good spec to have at these lower levels. That Moonfire spam is really powerful in the beginning, and also balance overall, pretty good spec to have here. It's not something that I would be too concerned about, really. For him, it probably works out a lot more to keep going, get dots. Like, you're already ahead, you may as well try to push as many levels as possible before things are settled. Meanwhile, Stalroth here on the other side, finishing up with the trolls. He's actually about to probably go get some boar ribs and Rhapsody malt for the beer-basted boar ribs, the good old-fashioned classics that you could have in World of Warcraft right now. Sorry about that, and making sure I stay hydrated throughout this whole thing. It's kind of difficult to talk after a little bit of while. We've been, from what I understand, the challenge has gone on for about 24 minutes so far. These two are still pushing forwards, and it's not something we were expecting. We were kind of thinking that people would kind of hit level 6 and that would be the end of it. But I guess whenever you have a challenge like this where you can just keep going, if you get the successful rolls, the videos can, well, not the videos, but the broadcast in particular could probably stay on for a little while longer. And really, we've yet to see the biggest dramatic effects that we might get from this, but we don't actually know how far these guys will go. In reality, this could be a 2-hour long video. It could be 50 minutes, could be 3 hours. We really don't know, at least until the end of the broadcast and the production team gets it all together and we're able to take a look at it. It's kind of one of those things that you have to watch out and you're like, okay, well, we weren't expecting you to move this far, and we weren't expecting you to talk this much, but that's kind of what ended up happening, and we just have to go along with it. That's cool. I mean, as long as they're able to keep it interesting, as long as they're able to keep moving, we'll keep following along with them. Now, one thing we should note here is that again, they don't have anything that stops them, right? So if they get another roll, they can keep going. That's how this challenge works, and in my opinion, that's fine. My only thing is I kind of wish they would have had a little bit of a limit cap for this, but at the same time, how are you going to really move forward if you put one on there? Stalroth, again, getting a level 9, he actually is able to roll, so he's keeping up. He's not too far behind. He's not in the worst position, but it should be noted that he's still in one that's not as good as he probably could get. And Vano here actually looking like he's gonna have a potential death here if he's not careful. And another one knocked out. Is he done? Is he over? No, he's able to get out of it. He's able to break free. He moves over to the right. He's able to get a charger out. Regrowth, a couple of them are still running after him. He's got most of them to run away. He's got 2 still sitting on him, and I think at this point he's able to get those dots off. We've taken a look here. This is probably the first time that he hasn't actually died from or rather the mobs that he dots hasn't actually died right away. Normally with the dots at lower levels, they are able to just die out and that's the end of it. But it looks like for these guys, they stayed alive long enough to actually put some damage on him. Not enough to kill him. He manages to escape, but he is dead after a little bit of time. So that's going to be something he's going to have to watch out for. It's no longer dot time. He's now able to have to actually play a little bit more on the fair game. This may actually give into Stalroth's advantage some, because if he's able to, if he's not able to one-shot things anymore, that definitely will move in towards Stalroth's favor, especially between the two of them. With Stalroth able to still do some very powerful damage. He doesn't quite have a specialization yet, but that, for a hunter, your abilities like that are going to be very powerful, and it looks like Vano's able to hit level 11 here. We're going to see in a second if he's able to keep moving or if he is out, And that looks like the end of Vano. Unfortunately for him, the leader has been slain temporarily, although we don't technically have a Shadow's Allure on him just yet because we don't have an actual setup there. So we're left with one competitor, and that competitor is Mr. Stahlrath. Look at this. And the guy is able to actually keep his second place, and he's guaranteed at least level 10. The big question I think I have now is, what is his plan in terms of the leveling itself? And what I mean by that is he going to be wanting to lead right now, or is he want to go ahead and stop, take it at level take second place, keep himself out of the Shock's Allure, maybe push forward a little bit later? This is something that he may need to take into consideration when he's doing this, because the reality is, if he, it's the same situation with Vano, right? If he manages to push forward and only gets one level out of it, for instance, like if he's able to get to level 12, or even if he's like level 11, that's not going to do him any good. Especially with, we took a look at it, Vano was speed, he was quicker, he was able to get quest done quicker, he was able to get everything done quicker. Granted, that's started to fall off a little bit because of the fact he no longer just one-shot things with dots, but it's still something he really needs to take into account here. He's got a lot of pressure on him to stay behind, and also if he does push forward, he'll have a lot of pressure on him to keep going and not have days where he just falls off the wagon. As a second place person, if you fall off the wagon, yes, that sucks, but it's not as bad as being first place and falling off, because if someone passes you, you have to start over. That's part of the rules, unfortunately, with the Shock's Allure. So he's gonna have to take a look at that and see what he wants to do here. Stahlrath is about to hit level 10 here shortly, it looks like, and we're gonna go ahead and take a little bit of drink of water. There we go. A little bit more water to keep me hydrated throughout this whole thing. I'm gonna have to get more than 2 water bottles at this point. It seems like to me that I've talked quite a bit. Again, let me look at the podcast. Currently, we're at 30 minutes. 30 minutes for the timer. So, Vano dropped off at about 24. Inara probably dropped off at about, I'd say, 19 or 20. So, yeah, there's about a 6 or 7 minute difference there. Marienda and everybody else, from what I had read, they had dropped off at about, it was a minute to 5 minutes. Everybody else had dropped off at those points. It's only these 3 that managed to push forwards. That's going to be a significant advantage for them, I'm sure, in the beginning. Then again, we don't know. For all we know, tomorrow maybe one person will get one push forwards out of nowhere. We're not sure how this is all going to work out in the end. This might just be a temporary measure where there's a big gap between the leader and the last place individual, because currently leader to last place we have 8 level difference. So the last place person is level 3. The first place person, which is currently Vano right now, is level 11. So you do have about 8 levels of balance, I would say, to kind of get that gap. That's not a big gap by any means of imagination. 1 fortitude, 1 level 5, and then like a couple more mundane rolls would really push yourself forward on that. But it is still something that you have to be like, okay, well, now I'm behind, how am I going to catch back up? And that's some of the things that you have to take a look at here. Stahlrath getting level 10 and is still able to go. He gets another level out of this. He gets the halfway point, so congratulations to him. He's just barely able to hang on, move forwards. Let's see if he chooses a class specialization here or not. I don't know if he's going to do that. Oh, there he does. All right, right on cue, and he appears to pick Marksman, an interesting spec to actually pick here. Most people I know go Beastmaster. I think that Beastmaster's been proven to be one of the more powerful specs for the Hunter class, although not too sure about how that all works out, and not too sure if Stahlrath is just wanting to go ahead and pick out his own perspective on this, just because he really wants to get that full-fledged work in his gun, I guess. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure why you would pick Marksman over Beastmaster at this point. Or No. Well, picking survival really right now is probably not the best one out of the three. I would say that Beastmaster is probably what you really want to go with, and um, I guess I don't know. I don't usually play a hunter. Whenever I'm in the class, I usually will pick something like a warrior, or right now I've been playing a warlock here recently, but that's just my personal opinions on things. It may not matter here, but either way, Stalwrath is still able to get one more level out of here, guaranteed level 11. So now he's gonna at least tie the leader. Not sure how they would do the whole who gets first on that regard, and if anybody gets Shock's Allure at that point. Now that might be something we didn't consider either, is that if you tie for lead, at least in this beginning, what does that entail? What does that title really mean? Because you don't have anybody who's actually technically leading. You have two people who sat on top of the throne, and you know, from what we gathered, I don't think it hits two people, right? It only hits one, or so we think. We're not too sure about that on that regard. So the big question here is, what happens if two people tie? And you know, it could happen. Right now, we're looking at the evidence of such a thing right now. We don't know if it'll end up being that way. Of course, these two are still actually, you know, well, Stalwrath is still actually leveling, so there's a chance that he could also just pass, and you know, we won't have to worry about that. But we don't know. We really don't have a perspective on that just yet. But we're gonna find out here shortly, as it seems like he's about to finish up his quest lines, and I think this will maybe either pull him to a level 11 or it'll get him really close. One or the other. Either way, we're gonna see something happen here soon. He's doing quite well, honestly, to, you know, like I said, kind of push up like this, but you know, I think it's a little bit excessive now, and he gets to roll again, and he gets one more level. So level 12, we won't have to worry about the whole, okay, who's tying it out. It's now, okay, well, you're both ahead of everybody else, but Stalwrath will be the leader. He'll be the official marked individual to move to level 12, which again, for him, that's, in my opinion, that's a dangerous move to do. It really does not bode well for somebody to do that. Mostly because you're on the fact that, again, if you don't get heavy leveling right here, you're gonna put yourself in a very difficult situation, especially with Vano sitting at level 11 like that. You have somebody who will basically be able to overtake you in the beginning if, you know, you're both moving on to leveling the next day, which is a highly possibility. I mean, we're still in lower levels. There's not a whole lot of, you know, impossibilities to get fortress rolls just yet. It will start tapering off when you start to get to level 20, but from there, right now, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that taper off too much, at least not yet. It probably will later on, but at this moment, there's nothing that really states that he can, you know, not come back from this. And this is something that Stalwrath will have to keep in mind, taking this lead like this. But what else are you going to do? I guess if you really want to, you know, establish yourself, you try to push forward as much as possible. A couple people are trying to do that strategy. I guess Vano was trying to do that. He didn't probably foresee that Stalwrath was going to end up taking over the lead spot for him, because, you know, that's 3 levels, or nearly 3 levels, that, you know, Vano hasn't even been on screen. And, you know, it seems like to me that they've got a lot more to work with. I don't know. It's a difficult thing. It's a risky strategy, and I can't necessarily condone it for any real reason or any real movement or lack of time. Who actually knows? We're gonna see the changes here shortly. It looks like Stalwrath's gonna go ahead and get himself a couple more levels, or at least one more. We're not sure about a couple more at this point, but we'll see soon how it all works out for him. He's getting a couple more quests here. It looks like, to me, he'll probably get a little bit closer to completing this challenge soon. He's gonna go ahead and get the writing too, just to kind of put a little bit more of a damper on everybody else. You know, nobody else was able to get writing skills yet. He was able to pretty easily. Vano probably would have if it was allowed for him, but you know, the Worgen starting zone is a little bit different. It's not exactly like Stalwrath being able to move around and get those things as quick as possible. It's not the open world. It's kind of a closed off zone that nobody else gets to really interact with. And so he gets to go ahead and be the Ram Whistler, get some of those quests done and out of the way. I'm surprised you didn't go for the Fang of Vagash first. I would have thought you'd want to go for that. For those of you who don't know, the starting zone for the dwarves basically has this spot up on the top where you kill a Yeti that's literally sitting right next to the Amberstill Ridge. I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. You know, you can do it whichever way you want to. I don't think he's going to be able to get a level out of this. It probably won't happen just yet. He will need to go ahead and do at least a couple more quests before he actually gets that final verdict. But then again, I don't know. I don't know how much experience you get from this. Usually probably get pretty close. I would say he'd probably get to about 85 to 90%, just based off of what I'm looking at. He is able to push up to about 75% right there. So who knows? Maybe he'll actually get really close to leveling. All he'll have to do is kill a couple things and he'll be done. Or it could be that he has to do a few more quests and he'll be done that way. It doesn't seem to really indicate what it is. But the question is, again, is he able to get more levels? Is he able to keep pushing? Is he able to get in front? And if he can't, well, then that's going to be a very difficult thing for him, because next episode, whenever that would be, if he gets surpassed by, like, Vano, for instance, there's nobody really quite on top of Vano's tail as much as, you know, Vano is to Stalrath at this moment. Like, but Inara's next. She dropped off at level 8, so she's got about 3 levels. She could still push forward, but the speed of which they're completing the quest is not as it's not as fast. It really isn't. You know, Stalrath is completing his at a much slower pace. He's level 11 now, but the thing is, he's only been level 11 for what, about 3 minutes or so. And so, you know, we've been playing the road for about 39 minutes. He's been keeping it going, and the speed of which Vano is moving at the comparison to Stalrath, it seems like it's going to be a very difficult thing for him to keep it, like, at this point, because he can get overtaken easily if this is the way that things are going. You know, he might be able to push out or eke out a few levels like this, but he's not going to be able to do much with it if he's not able to do this, or, you know, keep up with the pace of his counterpart. We're not going to be too sure about that, but either way, he's got a couple of things that he's setting up here. It looks like he's taking a look at a dungeon manual for something. Maybe he's what is he doing? I'm wondering. Oh wait, what is he? Yeah, not sure what he's looking for. That you know, that might be an unfortunate thing. He's not able to quite find, I guess, what he was looking for. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he did, and I don't know what he's actually trying to find. But either way, it's definitely something that Stalrath had to take into consideration. Vano is sitting right on top of him, and therefore he's gonna have to watch out. If he so much as slips up or falls off for one day, there's potential chance that he gets knocked off. It's not like he has a big, tremendous lead at this moment. But yeah, but that being noted, it could change. We're still at level 12. He's still only guaranteed level 12, but he could be guaranteed a few more levels. We're not sure. Not sure how long this is going to be for him. Yeah, he could get a lot out of this, and you know, that's something we need to take into consideration too. Is that Stalrath is not completely done. He's not like doomed to lose the lead. It's something that we have to kind of watch for and see if he's going to change the rules, or maybe he's actually able to, you know, get in there and actually, you know, get a few more levels ahead. It's something that is possible. It could be possible that Vano the next day slips up and then he's not able to move forward either, so Stalrath is able to open the gap between them. It could be entirely possible that you know, Stalrath gets a fortress roll right here, pushes up to like level 17, and then, you know, those worries start to taper down the more you raise up your level, right? So if you're above level 5 or 5 levels above your competition, then there's nothing to really worry about, nothing to really be concerned about. You don't have much to put stake in. I mean, unless somebody is really adamant and keeps continuously getting the rolls they need to beat you, which is possible as well, but it's not something that is probable. And, you know, the more that happens, the more you'd be like, wow, really surprising. And here it goes, Stalrath getting his opportunity here. He seems to get one more minor before he starts to roll, but here it is, and he is out, unfortunately for him, and I guess that will end it. The final destination has been struck, and the first day of the LevelMania has come to a close. The competitors didn't quite live up to the expectations we had set for them, only gaining an average of 2.8 levels, but considering the outliers, we probably would have seen something closer to 1 without our top 3. Speaking of which, we have our rankings set up for you to take a look at, and see who falls in what tier after the first round. In 10th and 9th respectively, we have Grulstak and Groltall, not gaining a single level today and being hung in the ringer of the shock. In 8th, 7th, 6th, and 5th, we have Kizax, Malborn, Longhail, and Mylang accomplishing 1 level to get to level 4. In 4th place, eking out just 1 more level compared to the tied 4, we have Mirienda, trailing herself to level 5 for a grand total of 2 levels gained. In 3rd place, Inara manages to make an actual stride, gaining 5 levels to move to level 8. In number 2, we have not losing by speed, but instead by the shock, we have Vano, getting an impressive 8 levels to stick it out to level 11. And finally, in 1st place we have Stalrath the Dwarf, just pushing past Vano to get an impressive 9 levels to reach the level 12. There are your ranks and those are your competitors. The challenge is just getting started, and already we have a couple of early bloomers shooting out to make a name for themselves. As mentioned in the beginning, if you wish to know more about our in-depth analysis of the characters, join us on Triple Tier Talks, the first one's coming out tomorrow. Also, if you join the event and want to keep updated on our items, remember to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified. Once again, I am your host Camixs, and I look forward to watching the show unfold with you again on the next episode of LevelMania.